I think the biggest thing for the new person is going out there and getting little wins. It's okay if you don't see yourself doing anything massive. Let's just go accomplish some little goals, and I can tell you your vision will shift over time.
Welcome to Shift, an exclusive podcast by DSN. I'm your host, Blake Mallen, and this is where high-performing entrepreneurs and experts share their most powerful shifts in mindset, skill set, and strategy to help you accelerate your business and amplify your impact. I challenge you to be present, open your mind, and let the shift begin. Welcome to Shift. I'm your host, Blake Mallen, and we have an incredibly inspiring guest with us on the show today. At just 29 years old, he's already made an absolutely amazing impact across the direct selling industry. Starting at 18 as a college athlete, he's now the #1 earner in his company and one of the youngest top performers recognized across the entire channel. A relentless drive, a genuine passion for helping others succeed. He's building a thriving legacy business today. His dedication to financial literacy and empowering others has allowed him to travel the world. I can't wait to get into this. He has been everywhere, showing people how to take control of their financial futures. His mission, to help as many people as possible make, manage, and save money. I love that. Creating a ripple effect of success across the globe. Today, we're going to dive into his incredible journey, the lessons learned, the shifts he's made along the way, and how he's helping others unlock financial freedom today. Please help me welcome to the show none other than Anthony Napolitano. Anthony, how you doing, brother?
Good, man. How are you?
I'm doing great. What part of the world are you coming from today? I know you're everywhere all the time.
Yeah, I just got back from Europe, but I'm in South Florida, so I'm actually at my home office today. So not my home office, my physical office that's in my home area. That's a few minutes from my house.
I love it. Well, I mean, I've followed you a little bit on social, and I know you kind of love to see the world, and your business has taken you all over the place. How many countries have you been to promoting your business?
Yeah, so 2 weeks ago, I actually hit the 70th different country that I've been to for the business.
70?
Yeah, 70, which is pretty insane.
And how old are you right now?
I'm 29.
29 years old and have been to 70 countries on. Do you have a map somewhere with pins in it, or an app that you're tracking all of this? What's your system?
So actually, in iCloud, it shows you your photo history. So you can actually see all the places you've taken a photo from your phone. And if you go in there, it's pretty wild. But
I absolutely love that. Yeah, I'm old school. I still got a map with pin. I'm going to adopt the iPhoto Geo. I love that. So 70 countries. That's amazing. So glad we caught you, safely at home and in South Florida. Can't wait to dive in and learn from you. What you're doing is inspiring at such a young age. But obviously, what are you, 11 years or so in the channel so far?
Yeah, so I've been in the industry since I was 18. So yeah, basically 11. And of course, I turned 30 in February. So yeah, the years have went by super fast.
I love it. When's your birthday?
February 23rd.
Okay. I'm the second. So we're both February. Happy birthday coming up. Well, I want to dive into what's going on today, but I think for context for our audience, let's kind of rewind the clock, 11 years, maybe take us to the moment where you first got started in this channel. And I know there's a lot of moments over 11 years, but maybe also take us to one of the all-time emotional highs at any point in your journey so far. So why don't we start there?
Yeah. So I actually got introduced to the profession, the industry, when I was 18 years old. At the time, I was a full-time college student athlete going to school for my baseball career. That was my passion. I wasn't going to college to be a doctor or a lawyer, right? I was going to be a baseball player with the dream of becoming a pro, which is that was the mission. And I got introduced to a guy on the college campus one day, and he said, "Ant, I think you'd be very good at what I do." And I'm like, "What are you talking about? I'm an athlete. What do you mean? I'm not really looking to work a job. What's going on here?" And he said, "Hey, just meet up with me this week. We'll talk about it. I'm telling you, you're going to be great at it," which I don't really recommend going about it, that approach with people, but that's what he said to me, right? And I said, "All right, fine. Let's meet up." And he sat me down and actually introduced me to the industry, the profession of network marketing. And I really just jumped in. And I wasn't looking to become who I am today in this business. I wasn't looking at that at all. I was looking to make an extra 500 to 1,000 a month, maybe drive a nicer car. That was kind of what I was looking for. And I got involved, and success started happening very quickly. And I can tell you the success happened very, very quickly because more so the ambition. I was not good. I was not a professional. I didn't know what I was doing. I was really just throwing stuff on the wall, and some of it was sticking, right? A little bit was sticking. It was actually going to the first few major events and just sitting there in the crowd like a normal guy. I'd probably say, 3, 6, 12 months into the industry, those first few big events that I went to, and just seeing all these people walk across the stage talking about, hey, I come from this walk of life. I was in this profession, and now I'm having success in this business. And really just watching these people and being like, wow, if these people can do this, I can do this, right? So it was more so like a belief check, a belief raise, and realizing that these people are actually doing this as a career, where I was just looking at it as a part-time thing while I was going to school and playing sports at the time. It really developed my belief in what we were doing, and I went full force with it. And, by my sophomore year of college, I decided to pursue this full-time. I actually left college and to do this. And I'm not saying anyone to go leave college and do any of that, but that's what I decided to do. And I knew nothing about this. I never heard of network marketing before I was 18. I had no clue what this industry was, and it's been a blessing to my life.
Well, it's interesting. I know we're just getting a chance to kind of meet. I know I've seen you on stage, and we've met kind of around the stage at industry events in the past, but our stories are actually super parallel. So, I didn't know anything. I got started when I was in my freshman dorm room at 19 years old. Obviously different generations, so to speak. And I know there's probably a lot of people out there that maybe are in college right now, or just out of college, or in their 20s or 30s, that are going to relate to your journey and relate to your story. I got to ask, just because it happened quick. So you're a freshman. By sophomore, you're stepping out of that traditional path.
Yep.
Take me to some of those moments and maybe some of those tough conversations. Like, did everybody instantly support you? Like, oh, awesome, support your entrepreneurial journey when you're exiting university and baseball and the path maybe that everybody around thought you were supposed to do? Take me to some of those moments, maybe some of those challenging conversations, and how'd you navigate them?
Yeah, Mom thought I was crazy. She thought I was like way out there. Like, what? You're doing this? Like this business? Like, yeah, you're making some money, but this isn't a long term. Like, completely, didn't understand what was going on. Most people around me honestly didn't. And it wasn't their fault. They just weren't educated to it. They were used to the traditional things. They're seeing me make money from a smartphone and a laptop, working from anywhere in the world. This is a whole different, thing. This is a new world. And at the end of the day, I believed in what I was doing. I believed in where I was going. I made that decision. And I also said to myself at that time, I'm never going to work a job. I'm never going to go do that normal thing that I did not want to do or pursue. This is going to be for me. I'm going to make it work no matter what. And I think that's a big deal, where a lot of people, they kind of put, one foot in to a lot of things in life. And they really don't go for it. Typically, you hear the biggest success stories from the hardest, situations, right? The worst situations, people become massively successful because their back's against the wall. Sometimes people are a little too comfortable, and that's why they don't have those big breakthroughs. So for me, making that decision like, hey, you're doing this, you got to go do this. And I went all out with it because of that. And I told myself I'm going to be successful no matter what.
Did that confidence just come natural? Because I know, I can imagine being that age, or any age, it really doesn't matter if you're in college or you're 50 listening to this right now, like the weight of other people's opinions, or the weight of going against the traditional or the grain, like it's a real weight. And it might be the weight that keeps a lot of people stuck. Like, so for you at such a young age, just kind of, saying, okay, thanks, Mom, but I'm doing my thing. Was that natural? Right? Did you have to do something to build that confidence? Did you ever have like real doubt that you had to overcome, or was it just something that flowed for you?
I think the confidence came through sports, playing sports my whole life. I played baseball and basketball in high school, and then baseball at the next level. And I was like, I like to win. I'm very competitive. We could go like to LA Fitness right now, me and you play pickup basketball with 2 other guys. We're going to want to beat them, right? Like, this is just the reality of just the competitiveness. So when people doubt me, it's like even more, okay, now I'm really going to show these people. So it kind of drives me, motivates me. So that for me, that wasn't really it. I wasn't against, what do they think or this or that. It was like, okay, now I just got to go put in the work.
Take us to one of those highs. So 11 years, obviously you got out of the gates very quick, but I've done this long enough that I also am probably willing to bet that it's not always just growth. They're not always just easy. You're not always just winning. As an entrepreneur, it's always ups and downs. It's always seasons, peaks and valleys. Take us to one of those like those top 1% emotional moments. It might not be tied to a tangible or a number or a milestone. It might, but like, what's one of the top emotional moments where you look back and like, that's your joy, that's your happy place, that's your, oh my gosh, the life I'm living, you're grateful for? What's one of the moments that comes to mind?
Yeah, so I would just say it wasn't a specific moment, like directly like, oh, this day this happened. But I would just say when I was 18 and I decided to really start doing this, about a year in, I came up with this thing in my head. It was called RBT. And you're like, what is this guy talking about? It was actually stands for Retire by 30.
Okay.
And I told myself, listen, it might be a little crazy, but this is what I did, right? I told myself I want to be done by 30. I said, okay, most people around me right now, they're on this 4-year party plan. And they're going to, love the next 4 years, hate the next 40. I'm going to work really, really hard, okay, when I'm young. So then when I get to 30 years old, I don't have to worry about money. I can live my life and do what I want, okay? So I was on that mission at a young age. I'm a person who they say is a very old soul. I'm always thinking in the future. That's just how I think. But when I got to about 25 years old and I accomplished that goal that I put out for 30, I was like, well, honestly, at 25, what I've been able to do in the business, my investments outside of the business, I'm in a very, very good financial situation. That was kind of like one of the moments where it's like, wow, okay, I put in, I can't even tell you, I'm talking 100 plus flights a year the last decade. I've been everywhere in the world, all this time and energy. I haven't had a social life. It was dedicated to building a business and creating time and financial freedom long term, right? In the moment, you don't got freedom. You don't got time. You got to be building your business. But I had that long term outlook. And about 25 years old came and I was like, wow, I really was able to do that in that short of a window because I really went all out. I committed to it. I didn't take days off. And I'm still that consistent today. It's like you said, it's more so winning now. It's not about money. It's like we're playing a game. I want to win. I wake up every day with energy to win and help people. That's kind of it.
I love your story. And Anthony, you're making me smile. You can't see, but to my right, I'm in my home office here in Pacific Palisades as well. And I got a bookshelf to the right of just kind of stuff for my life. But there's a plaque there from when I was 19 years old and created my own mission. It was called Arrive by 25. And I think I only picked 25 because it rhymed and because I couldn't at that time see past 25, so 30 was out there. But I very much relate to your story, setting the goal and wanting to kind of like beat the system. And you did that at a young age, and now you're helping a ton of people right across the world kind of follow suit. Go deeper there. You said sacrifice. You mentioned kind of the line of like social life, and it's easy for people to see on Instagram today or TikTok today and be like, yeah, well, look at the lifestyle he has. But take us to the build. Like when you're in the climb, when you're in the build, when you're creating all of this, what did that sacrifice look like? Like what are the choices you had to make? What are some of the things that you didn't do to prioritize getting to where you are today? Like be real with us for those on what it really takes to get to the life you're at.
To get to, of course, I always say everyone has their own goal and what they want. When someone joins this business, some people just want to make an extra $500 a month. Some people want to become a 6-figure earner. And some people want to go crazy like myself, travel the entire world, be the number one person in the company. That's not for everyone. Let's just that's not for everyone. And you should not be trying to share that message with everyone. You should ask people what they want. There are people that are more talented than me, okay, in my business that make a tenth of the money that I make because they just do not want that. Okay, that's the reality of it. So for me, I work extremely hard, and like you said, I had to sacrifice a lot. Those were a lot of nights on the road. I've spent probably over the last decade of my life at least half the year on the road in hotel rooms. At least half. I've literally sat on planes for probably at least a month a year just sitting on a plane. A month of my year is sitting on planes, traveling 10, 12 hours to this place or that. It's a lot of dedication. It's a lot of time. It's very hard on your body. It's not, like I said, it's not for the weak. But at the end of the day, for me, it was more so, of course, once I accomplished the financial goals, you have purpose. My purpose is really to help people today. I don't actually get excited to make more money, which kind of sounds crazy. I really don't at this point in life. I more so get excited when I see that person walk across the stage and they're like, man, this was my life a year ago. This is what I'm doing today. Or, 5 years ago, I was doing this. And now look at that really motivates me. And it's like, okay, you're doing something positive for the world. You're showing people there's another way. Because at 18 years old, if you would have told me this was an option, I would have probably said you're crazy. Right? That's what I said. Like, proper expectations is so important. That pitch in network marketing of the 500 to 1,000 a month, that makes sense for most people. That is really the pitch. And at the end of the day, if someone gets involved and starts having success, of course, their belief is going to raise. For me, if you would have told me, oh, you're going to be this guy and do it, I would have said, man, you are lost your mind, right? Like, I'm a baseball player. This is what I know. I don't know anything about business. So I think it's really how you approach people. And of course, little wins compound, and that's how you get to those big wins. But I could just say, the days, the hours, not seeing your family for months at a time, like it's a lot. It's a lot, but I wanted to do things at an extraordinary level. I didn't want to just, somewhat be in the game. Like I said, have one foot in the game. Like, I wanted to go all out and experience it for what it was. And looking back, all that time, well spent. Yeah. Well spent. Those memories, like, I was able to travel the entire world in my 20s. Yeah. Like, think about that. The entire world. I have friends everywhere. I could call someone up. I could land in a random country right now and someone could come pick me up at an airport. Like, that's crazy. I knew no one outside of South Florida when I started this business. To think about how this thing expanded and where it went, I wouldn't, do it any other way.
I love it. And, just watching you and experiencing this and everybody listening, like, we can feel your energy. We can feel your intensity. I'm just thinking about, traits of like consistency, like an epitome of consistency and drive. And I love how you mentioned kind of purpose today. But if you were to look back on like the last 11 years on where that energy, that drive, that desire comes from, I'd imagine it's evolved. So like, if you were to look back at like Anthony 11 years ago, Anthony 9 years ago, Anthony 7 years ago, how has your motivation, for lack of a better term, what you're really running for, what's important, where that juice or that drive comes from, where was that 11 years ago and how has that evolved to where that is today?
Yeah, so 11 years ago, I was just trying to make a few dollars, right? Like, just make a few bucks, drive a nicer car, like little things in life, right? But then realizing that, of course, what you do actually impacts so many people in this profession. And I always say someone with no business has no responsibilities. Someone with a business has a lot of responsibilities. A lot of people think the other way around. Oh, I got more money, I have less No, in this business, a lot of people are relying on you when you have a team and you have an organization. So for me, I feel a responsibility for the people that get involved with me to help them get to where they want to go in life. And that's kind of my purpose and my mission. So today it's about, elevating people and making the company a household name. Those two things motivate me to work every single day.
I love that. And I found that pretty common amongst kind of the highest performers in this channel is like, your desire, your motivation evolves. And it's okay. It might start, like you said, a couple $100 or pay a bill or a car payment, and that may move you then. And kind of the further you go, the further you see. And that evolves over time. And at some point, I think most entrepreneurs that are at the level you're at and operating at the level you're operating, it gets to a place at some point where it's not just about you. It's about something more. It's about a greater cause. It's about other people. And I love that. So thank you for sharing that. I want to go deeper on this generational thing. So Anthony, I've just always been kind of fascinated by how different generations see and experience the world in totally different ways. And I was just doing the math here. And so you're a millennial.
Yeah, technically a millennial.
I know there's like different age, like different. Right? Yeah,
I'm like right at the cutting edge though of millennial to the next one, right? Like
you're at the cusp, right? So it depends on what you look at, and yeah, I mean it depends what range. There's kind of like the bridge, but yeah, generally like 1981 to like 1996 is a millennial. You're probably, what are you, 97?
95.
95. Okay, so well, I'm 81. So literally, we are the cusp years of the millennial generation. I'm the gray hair. You're almost to Z. So here's my question, because this is fascinating for me, because same generation, cusp years. When I was at the same place, 19, I saw the same thing you saw, like this traditional path. For me, it wasn't for me. And I'll even go the step further. In my belief system, it seemed broken, and I saw people that were going the path, they wanted to exit that traditional path to be an entrepreneur and join this industry. You saw the same thing, but you're now the younger generation, and I'm sure you're working with a lot of Gen Z, and you're building a movement of younger people. In your conversations today, with like the younger millennial, the Gen Z, what's their honest opinion today of like the traditional path? The go to school, go to college, get good grades, get a job, work the corporate ladder. Like, where is that conversation today in that generation? And where's the belief system around it and all the conversations you're having day in and day out across the world?
Yeah, so like you were just saying, it has completely changed from 30 years ago, let's say, to today. A lot of people understand that you have to do something different. You have to think outside the box. You have to do unique things that, honestly, a lot of these vehicles and stuff weren't available 30 years ago that they are today, right? The internet, just the internet alone, think about how many businesses are on the internet. It's just crazy to think about. So yeah, I think people are more open-minded to things. They're looking for different avenues because they realize the old forms aren't working like they used to. But I would also say the issue with the younger generation specifically is this instant gratification. Because of social media and the things that they're seeing. They do things for a week. They're not rich. They're like, oh, I got to go do something else. And they're not developing skills. And I always tell people the way you become massively successful in any industry, any profession, whatever the case may be, is by giving things time. Like, think about the professional athlete. The professional athlete gets paid pretty good money. If you're a pro baseball player or you're in the NFL or the NBA, you're getting paid pretty good money. But how many years did you play that sport before you ever got paid to play that sport? How long did the doctor go to college and pay the college before the doctor could even earn any money? So a lot of people, because of social media, because of the internet, because of success stories, even like myself and many others out there, they're looking for instant gratification and they're giving up on things too soon. It didn't happen overnight for me. Yes, it happened fast. It did for me specifically. But I had a long-term vision. I always tell people the reason success came quick was because the vision was so long-term. I committed to never quitting. See, most people aren't committed to never quitting. Most people are like, I'm going to do it for 30 days. And if I have or I'm going to do it for 90 days and see where they've already lost. Those people should already quit today. Like, don't even talk about, 30 days, 90 days. Just quit right now. You're going to save yourself some time and money and go do something that you're actually going to commit to. So my perspective is I had a long-term vision. That's why success came quick. I think a lot of people are looking for a different way, but they're also looking for instant gratification. So they're trying to do 20 things at once. They're not good at anything. And it's just like, that's what's going on in the world a lot today.
What are the skills you feel are most important today for someone that's starting their direct selling journey as a new entrepreneur today? What would you say, like the top, handful of skills that you would say are most important to thrive in today's climate?
Yeah, I would say the number one thing, you got to be a people person. You got to be able to deal with people and you got to do it in real life. You can't be one of these people just like on this thing texting these people all day. You actually have to have a personality and actually be able to build friendships and relationships at the end of the day because people won't do business with you if they don't trust you. And I think that is, one of the oldest things in the book, but it's kind of like a lost art today because of this social media world. And, I've talked about this many times and I've recently done trainings at different events that leadership development, personal relationships, these things are a lost art. People sell so well through social media, right? They put a post and people join them, whatever, but they've become like salespeople. They haven't become real leaders in the sense of developing other people to help other people accomplish their goals and building great sales organizations. So in my personal opinion, I think being able to communicate, being a good person, like some really basic stuff in life is just a lost art. That's really my take.
I love it. And you're mentioning obviously the social versus kind of the in-person, the whole kind of like online and offline. Some people might even call it old school, new school. Maybe that's becoming, right, the new school again. What's your honest take? And I hear what you're saying on the lost art, right, and the importance of real relationship. But if you were to look at your method of operation today, like what Anthony does to recruit and build, what you're training your community across the world to do, go deeper on this, like what is the relationship between online and offline? What is social? Where does it fit in? Where is in person? Like how do these two sides really play together in like the systems you're doing and teaching today?
Yeah, so I'm an old school network marketer. like belly to belly, in-person meetings. That's what I did. Actually, the first year in the profession, I didn't even have social media because the person I was working with was like, that's a bad thing. Don't have it. Okay. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. Don't have it, but that's what I was told. But it actually was a blessing to me because I got really good at dealing with people at a young age. And that was a gift, right? And at the end of the day, all I've done is build my business offline and showcase what we're doing offline, online. So it just becomes another avenue. If you're doing stuff offline, you have something to showcase. If you're not doing anything offline, what are you showcasing anyways? Why does someone want to join you over that person? It doesn't make any sense. So I think the whole business is truly built offline. And then, of course, you leverage what you're doing offline, online to attract people around the world and get into new markets, new demographics, et cetera. So I think it's just a tool. At the end of the day, I always say they kind of work together. For example, let's just say I meet you at the gym this morning and you're like, oh, this Anthony guy was a really cool dude. And I'm like, hey, man, let me get your Instagram. And I just share my Instagram with you, right? That person now goes home and is like, holy crap, who was I just talking to at the gym? I thought that was like a regular 29-year-old kid. I have no idea. Guess what? That just gave me a big piece of credibility with that person, not even talking about what I'm doing, my business or anything like that. So it's a tool. And I think if you use it correctly, it could be, incredible for you. But I think a lot of people are too reliant on one or the other, meaning like, oh, I'm only going to be on social media. Well, it's like, that's going to be hard to build relationships and build a long-term business. Or, hey, I'm just going to be offline, which yeah, you could build a great team, but it's going to be hard to expand globally and get into all these different markets. I've been blessed to expand to 120 countries. That's not normal, okay? But that was the power of social media by leveraging what we were doing offline and showcasing it online. So I think they have to come together. I think there has to be a little bit of a formula. But like I said previously, I think it's a lost art of the relationship building and actually becoming friends with people and making it bigger than just money. Money. People could go make money doing anything. That's the reality of the world. You have a voluntary army. This is not a paid, you're getting paid a salary to be here. No, this is a voluntary army that you're building. So you have to do it the right way and really build those friendships.
I love so many of the points you just made there, and I agree entirely. And I hope everybody listening is getting what Anthony is giving, because I think it's absolutely paramount to where we are as a channel today and really what's working by Anthony's example. When you were talking, it kind of reminded me of the conversation of, document versus create. So like if you're documenting what you're doing, as you're doing it, it gives you the content versus having to sit down and create content out of nothing. So I love that kind of highlight. And as you're saying, like the gym analogy, it is. I mean, let's just be honest and be real. Like your social media account today is like the ultimate business card. I mean, every one of us do the same thing when we meet somebody and, they're going to go hit Google and your social profiles are going to come up. So I love that. Now, I'd imagine, though, as you're documenting this building lifestyle, you are building a online community. I know you've put energy into a personal brand. You got the site, you got the channels. So I'm assuming that's creating conversations for you, right? So like now does it go full circle where like you're building offline, it's now reflected online, but now is a lot of your new conversations starting online, or are your new conversations still starting offline? I'm curious.
I'd say it's a very balanced combination. I still create a lot of relationships offline. I think all the best people I've ever found, to be transparent with you, they started through like random in-person conversations that, through that person maybe got to someone internationally or whatever. I really like people that are competitive. I think they're very, very good at this business. I like people who maybe played sports and people who have a lot of drive. Those are the kind of things I'm looking for. I don't care about previous experience. You don't have to be someone who's had massive success in sales or network. No. If you're hungry, I can work with you because then I can teach you what I do, how to do it, and how you could apply it to your life. So I think that's important, but I think it's a real balance. I think the cool thing also about social media is, like I said previously, you could get internationally very quickly. Someone in, some random country you never even heard of could shoot you a message tonight. Like that could actually happen. I'm not saying it's going to happen every day. So for those of you who posted for the first time, they're like, oh, why didn't I go global? No, it's going to take years to develop the credibility and consistently doing it. You guys could actually go to my Instagram and you could look at the last 11 years. I've at least posted one time a week the last 11 years. And you can see the journey from the beginning, documenting small events to global event. Like you could literally see the progression. And I always say, consistency and commitment develop credibility. See, a lot of your friends and family, when you first get started in this profession, they're betting on you to fail. So when you post for 2 months and then you never post again, they're like, haha, look, got him. It was right. The person didn't do it, right? But you've been doing it a year or 2 years. They're like, oh, wow, this person's really serious about this. Maybe I should hear them out a little differently this time. So I'm just telling you guys, consistency, most people don't have it. Most people are consistent at being inconsistent. So go out there and do it, and that will develop you as a person.
In your conversation today, if you're meeting somebody at the gym or maybe you're teaching your community the steps to take when they first get started, is the initial conversation starting with like a customer conversation? Is it starting with more of an opportunity entrepreneurial conversation? Is it both in one conversation? Does it depend on the person? Like what's your philosophy here on kind of the beginning of a conversation, whether it's online or offline?
It's actually neither. It's just creating a friendship. So like create a friendship, make a friend today, get someone's contact. That's it. The cool thing about social media, right? Just to give you a little perspective here. And you talked about like your social media is your business card, right? Let's just say I create a friendship today. I just meet someone and we exchange social media. Well, guess what? Now I have, you remember back in the day, we had these email campaigns where they would send an email for like 7 straight days, right? My Instagram story is a never ending email campaign. So this person is going to see me every single day. They're like, Anthony from the gym, that guy, what's he traveling the world? He's doing these events. He's talking about the financial markets. What is this guy doing, right? And people are naturally going to actually want to reach out to me. So a lot of the time, just to surprise you, but a lot of the time people actually are asking me what I'm doing more than me asking them to be a part of it or, hey, check out what I'm actually doing. That's the reality of it. So I think, using these tools properly and just building friendships, that's number one. And I always say, and I said it previously, people won't do business with you if they don't trust you. So just building rapport, building friendship, and seeing where that goes. And I always think you build the pipeline. The pipeline is everything. So let's say I go to the gym today and I meet someone today. That person most likely is not getting started today. But guess what? Now they're in the pipeline. Maybe 90 days from now, that person wants to get started. But I have someone else in the pipeline from 90 days ago that's ready to get started today. So the pipeline always has to be filled with more inventory. It's kind of like your list, right? It's always got to be filled with more inventory. And the more people you put in the pipeline, the more people that are going to be joining your business.
I love that answer. I think it's perfect. So it starts with friendship, actually meeting people just to meet people, getting connected, using the tools, which is normal today. We're connected on Instagram, we're connected on TikTok, whatever your platform is. And then I love the message you gave on your story or your post or your content is today's drip system, is today's follow-up campaign. I love it. I think that's a huge point. So go deeper there. So let's say I got started in your team. I'm excited. I'm ready to go. So now you're teaching me what to do. What is kind of the initial directive? Am I starting on social? Am I starting in a home party? Am I starting just meeting people at the gym? Like if I'm brand new, I'm pumped up, and I want to be Anthony when I grow up. What direction are you pointing me?
We're going to start offline. So the first 3 to 6 months, there's no need for social media because you have a warm market. So I'll give you an analogy. Just let's say we own a McDonald's. Okay, and we got thousands of burgers in the freezer. Does it make sense for us to go order thousands of more burgers, or should we sell those burgers to clients before we order more? Okay, so in network marketing, what a lot of people do is they have inventory, but they try to throw in more inventory before they get to the existing inventory, and they rotten that inventory. They destroy that inventory because they do it the wrong way. Let me give you just an example of this. Let's say I'm brand new in network marketing today, first day in the business. Of course, they say the average person by 18 years old knows 1,000 people by first name. Of course, those are mostly acquaintances, maybe 10 real friendships there, but they know 1,000 people by first name. And let's just say you made a list today to start your business and you made a list of 200 names. Okay. Most of those 200 people probably follow you on social media. That's just the reality of the world today. So if I go on my social media the first day and go, I got this business, come join my business, go buy my juice, do this, whatever. You've already turned away half of your audience. Before you even approach them, had a conversation with them, just because they saw your post and they're like, oh, it's one of those things. Or, hey, that's not for me. And literally you message them after the fact and you're like, hey, I'm working on this. Oh, I already saw it. I'm not interested. And you're like, what? So the goal initially is to keep it a secret and actually make people feel important and actually go directly to people so they hear you out. Your job is to get the information in front of people. That is your only job. Your job is not to close people, get people started. Get your information in front of them. How many people have actually heard out the information properly? Did you get someone to a Zoom call, a video, a live event. Okay. We always say in this business, right? Our job is to get butts and seats and eyes on screens. That is the reality of the profession. Get butts and seats and eyes on screens. Get people to see it, because if people see it, they'll want to become a part of it. That's just a numbers game at that point. But if no one's seeing the information, no one's joining the information. So initially, all offline, the first 3 to 6 months, go through that warm market. Then, of course, start having some success, maybe start documenting that success 3 to 6 months later, showcasing it. And then you could work on getting other additional leads, because you already have plenty of people to talk to, most people. The reality is simple things that everyone can do to have success. That's what you want to teach. I actually teach a 5-step system. It's really simple. Okay. This is what I've been teaching for the last decade. Set up the product or the service, right? Start using the product or the service, become a product of the product, right? Second step, make a list. Third step, master the invite. 4th-step, edification. 5th-step, follow-up. And that's literally it. Over and over and over again, duplicated to the new person. Simple things, like I said, that everyone can do.
So Anthony, let's go deeper there one quick, because I know what you mean by the term edification, because I come from the same place. But I will also highlight that's actually probably not a term that's being taught and used in some communities today, of even what that means. What is the art of it? Why do you do it? And how do you use it? Go deeper there.
Yeah, so at the end of the day, when I was 18 years old getting involved in this business, no one wanted to hear from Anthony, right? I was a baseball player. I don't know anything about business. But if I put the importance on someone else, someone that has the results that they're looking for, someone who could teach them and be a coach to them, especially as well with friends and family, because they look at you as who you were previously. They don't look at you as a business person today. So putting the importance on that person, letting that person work for me. Think about how crazy this is. You could get involved in my business, Anthony's business, and have Anthony work for you to get you paid. Like, there's no industry like that. You go to Walmart right now, trust me, go get a job at Walmart. Let me know today if you're going to be talking to the CEO of the company. It ain't happening. Okay. The reality is in most professions, of course, people in corporate America don't want you to know what they know, because they're afraid that you're going to take their job. That's just first off. In this profession, we're actually teaching everything that we know to the new person, because their success actually helps us have success. And that's a very, very unique thing. But like I said, putting the importance on someone else is everything, because you're new. You don't have the credibility, and people could say, oh, well, this person can actually help me and coach me. I'm not just reliant on the person who's getting me involved. And I think that's so big. And like you said, it is a lost art, because everyone's about me, 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 me. Well, no, forget about you a second. Let's put the importance on that guy. Let's start making you money. And guess what? Then people will be talking about you. That's the reality of how the game goes.
And it works, because the people you're talking to, you have a relationship with. Most relationships are rooted in some element of trust. It might not be 100%, but there's trust there as a foundation. So when you, like Anthony is explaining, speak highly of somebody else, you build value for somebody else, you create a respect for somebody else, you, by nature of your trust, now put that person in a place to be listened to and heard in a different way, and you can move people forward. So I thank you for diving into that, because you can do that at any point, and it does work, and it is an art. And I know for you, it's one of the 5 steps that your community uses, but for a lot of people, that might be new information. You mentioned events, so let's continue down this journey, right, in your world. So what's your system? Like, what's your take between live and in person versus totally virtual versus this hybrid, the local small to the national big? Is there a system, or are you just kind of going as it comes? Like, what's your philosophy on what you're applying today when it comes to bringing people together?
So I really believe that you go, start local to expand global. So I started building my network marketing business all in South Florida. It wasn't anywhere else. I would say probably the first year, 99% of the customers involved in a platform, whatever the case may be, were just in Florida. Okay. And I got to a significant income just off of that. But by doing that, I established, of course, credibility, created cultures, created systems. And at the end of the day, what I was doing was I started with one-on-one meetings. Okay, one-on-one meetings, simple, like coffee shop, Panera Bread, Star. I didn't have my own office. Like, I have this big, 3,000 square foot office today with a big conference. I didn't have all these tools. I didn't have any money, right? So I was in Starbucks and Panera Bread. I remember in Panera Bread, everyone knew me that worked there by first name. They actually used to bring me out free food sometimes, because I was literally there so much. They'd be like, hey, nice to see you, man. I'd sit there for 7-8 hours a day and just meet people. And that's how I initially started the community. And then I went to basically bi-weekly events. I actually still do bi-weekly events at my office for anyone who's local, bi-weekly. And of course, if it gets big enough where you could go to a weekly, go to a weekly. But don't always do the same thing over and over. And I can tell people get bored. So if you're just doing like a meeting at my office every 2 weeks, guess what? In 6 months, people aren't as excited to come. That's the reality of it. So change it up. Maybe do something on the beach one day. Maybe go do an event or go do something unique that the team could actually be a part of in some sort of way to, let's say, prospect people or get people in front of the information. So change it up because people get bored very quickly, especially in today's world. But I think events are everything. And what I did was I did that in my local area. And then I duplicated that to people in different areas to do the same thing. And I always say your network marketing business, if you understand it, you will have massive success. If you don't understand it, you're going to drive yourself crazy. We always say the numbers business, right? You'll make a lot of money with it, or it will run you out of the business. Okay. So I understood my numbers, meaning let's just say, for example, I have 10 people, 10 prospects coming to learn about the information tonight. And we're doing that bi-weekly, hypothetically. Okay. I would say on average in network marketing, a live presentation probably has a higher closure rate than some video or a Zoom call. I would just say naturally it's going to. But let's just say on a Zoom call, you're getting 2 out of 10. Okay. And now let's say an in-person meeting, you're getting 3 out of 10. I'm not even going crazy high. Let's just say 3 out of 10. Well, now I know, okay, well, if on a Wednesday night, I have 4 teams around the state that are all doing a presentation and they're all getting a minimum of 10 prospects there. Oh, well, let me think. If each of them gets 3 out of 10, 3, 6, 9, 12, oh, I have 12 new people joining every Wednesday night that we do an event. This is how you start building the business. So I think the numbers game is everything. And we do the same thing with Zoom calls. We do a weekly opportunity presentation. But I duplicated these systems to different groups. And then, of course, we have our regional events and conventions and all this other stuff. But I think little belly-to-belly things, little, like you said, kind of like home events, office events, those smaller events are super powerful because the closure rate is actually extremely high. If someone came to my office, we had 10 people here, I'll probably get 4 to 5 involved because that's how high of a closure rate it's going to have in person. So comparative to sending someone a random link to a video or getting someone on a Zoom call, I think it's another lost art, right? Another lost art in our profession. But I think doing that and then learning your numbers. Okay, well, let's say we get this many people to the opportunity call each week. We get this many people to in-person events each week, and you start understanding your organization. Then you can understand, okay, how do I go through these levels? How do we run through these numbers and get to these goals? So that's kind of how I look at it.
Do you think kind of the in-person, smaller gatherings, smaller events is kind of coming back in your world across the channel right now? If you were to ballpark, everybody that joined your whole community last month, like what percentage do you think are joining, sitting in a live event somewhere versus Zoom event somewhere versus signing up on social media? What does that look like?
I would say a lot more still online, but what I teach is more offline. At the end of the day, I think the pandemic and COVID specifically was a big issue for our profession because people became very lazy. They became solely reliant on social media. And when everyone was sitting on their phone all day, yeah, they had a lot of people joining their business. But like I said, as many that were joining, as many were honestly quitting within the next year because they also lacked the leadership development because they just threw a bunch of bodies into systems. All the companies, go look across the industry during the pandemic, 2020, 2021, look at the revenues of these companies and look at them the last 2 years. And they're like this, they're like falling down because the people became so reliant on one way. And we also had a lot of people who were born into the industry during that time. And that's the only thing that they actually know. So I think at the end of the day, you have to have that combination. I do think in-person meetings are everything. I think you learning how to talk to people, just that skill set. Let's say I go online or I get on a Zoom call or whatever. I have a skill set to do this in person. So when I'm on a Zoom call, I'm even 10 times better than the average person because most people, they're getting leads and they don't even know how to handle the prospect. So I think there's so many factors of how many benefits it can actually do for your business. But kind of what you're saying at the end of the day, yes, I teach it. I'm not saying everyone does it. No, a small percentage does it, but those are the ones who are making a lot of money. So yeah, that's just the game.
No, and I appreciate the transparency. And I think you're shining a spotlight on a really important topic that all of us can relate to. Because sure, you can learn, we all can learn, and we teach and should teach how to create transactions online. And that can create new conversations. It can create volume. It can create new customers. But it's not going to create the same level of connection that I'm hearing you describe when you get people together. The connection, the energy, the relationship, like you said earlier. And I love how you're highlighting the intangible skills that aren't going to show up on a cloud office report of actually learning how to connect and meet people and build a relationship and have that glue. So Thank you for highlighting that. I'm seeing that trend while we all as a channel had to go totally online for a while and are maybe slow coming off. I do think kind of the future is this combination. And I think it's what separates us, right? The community, the relationship, the real people, the energy. It's what we do that other channels don't do. So obviously it's working for you. Through all of your answers, the word consistency comes to my mind. Consistency in showing up, consistency in presentation, consistency in event, consistency in recruiting, consistency in travel. And again, I'm going to ask you, look in a mirror. How do you maintain the level of consistency you're doing right now? Do you have a habit? Do you have a tracker? Do you have a way to hold yourself accountable? Do you have a coach? How do you maintain this consistency at this level over such a long period of time?
Yeah, you create routines. So I am militant. Every morning I go to the gym. It's the first thing that I do. I wake up. I was at the gym at 6:01 a.m. this morning. I was in the parking lot. I actually shot a video for the team this morning in my car at 6:01, completely black, had the light on in the car to see, right? But go to the gym every single morning. I come home. I self-develop. I look at the financial markets. One thing I just do. It's part of my routine, right? I do that. And then around, 11, 12, I start, posting out team calls, trainings, what we have going on for the day. And then between noon and 4, I'm prospecting, doing, calls for people within the organization with their prospects, doing some trainings, different things for international teams. And then at night, I'm just showing the plan. The reality is, showing the plan, if it's an in-person meeting, an opportunity call, whatever I can do to show the plan every single night. And I've just been consistently doing that for year after year. And it never changed from when I was making no money to making the money that I make today. I just consistently did it. And I think a lot of the time people make more money in this profession and they think they have to do something completely different. It's the same things over and over and over again. And I think when you forget the small things, you're in big trouble. A lot of people, they get too good for the little things. You can't get too good for the little things because the little things are what actually makes you great. And you got to duplicate those things to the new person if you're going to develop an organization long term. So I think that whole aspect is extremely important.
So good and so spot on. And I'm hearing in your answers in our conversation, you're sticking to the fundamentals. You're adapting as you need to based on time and technology and tools. Let's go macro real quick. So the world right now is in an interesting season. We are in a state of shift in the world. I mean, I think most would say we're in a state of shift in our industry and our channel. We're adapting. What are you seeing within kind of your world, your community, your company, and also across the channel? What shifts are you seeing today that are different than yesterday? What things are working maybe that weren't before or are not working that did before? What's your take on change, on shift in building in today's climate?
Yeah, I think globally, you're seeing the shift like we talked about previously from, we're just these online businesses to going back to real events, to going back to building relationships, going back to the things the industry was built upon. We got away from that for a few years. The reality was, like you said, CEOs, owners of companies, they're just looking at balance sheets, right? They're seeing the revenue come in and they think the business is incredible, which we're making money. The business is having success at the time, but little do they know, no one's getting developed. No one's going to be here long term. You just have a lot of people buying some product that are going to be gone in 6 months. The reality is I think we're getting back to that leadership development phase. We're getting back to belly to belly meetings. I feel like we're getting back to really building personal relationships with people. I think all these little things that we've touched on through this entire, call, right? The reality is we're getting back to that. And the companies that are doing that at a high level, they're the ones that are growing and thriving. The ones that are solely, completely online, they're not doing company conventions, they're not doing anything. Those ones are bleeding out. I'm just telling you, you could go look at the revenue slowly but surely, just bleeding out because people are losing belief. They're losing vision. They're losing hope. They're not seeing other people that can, lead the way for them and mentor them and coach them to get to where they want to go. I think that's the biggest thing we're seeing today.
I want to leave some time for any kind of closing thoughts that we haven't covered or you want to share. But before we do that, can we just do a super rapid fire round? I can ask you 3 quick questions. Does that work? Okay, so these are similar questions I've asked most guests. There's no right or wrong answer. First thing that comes to your mind in a single word or a short sentence. The premise of shift is, we're a shift in the world, a shift in the channel, but it's more my obsession with a belief that I really do believe, a single belief shift Like the right mind shift at the right time can like change the trajectory of your business or your life. You've shared a lot of them in the stories you've been telling us and the wisdom you've been imparting on us. But I want to ask you kind of directly about some of the most significant kind of belief shifts or perspective shifts in your life. Let's start on a professional nature. So in your business, with what you've created today, if you were to pick one of the most significant mind shifts, you went from thinking this to thinking this, what comes to mind?
First major event. Really that simple, sitting there, realizing that, hey, these people can do this, I can do that. That was the biggest thing for me.
I love it. And it also echoes what we talked about earlier on the importance of that event and proximity and connection. So second question, same question, but in your personal life. So forget, Anthony, the business builder, the entrepreneur, just the person you are today. What's one of the biggest belief shifts that has helped you become, who you are today?
Yeah, I think I've became a better person because of the business. Honestly, like caring for people more than you care for yourself a lot of the times at this point in my career, maybe not as much early on, right, when you had nothing, but like the givingness and the willing to help. I think the business has actually made me a better individual, which I don't know if everyone could say that, but I think it's actually made me better at a lot of things and overall a better person.
I love that. And last one's kind of like an inspirational, visionary question. And one of the things I love working with DSN is like, we really do have the opportunity to reach the channel. So many companies, communities, brands have access to this platform. And I often just think about the power of all of us, all of the field distributor, right, communities across the world, every company, every brand united in this channel. And really the power behind that community. So my question for you is, let's say you did have the superpower right now to snap your fingers and you could give as a gift a single belief shift to every single direct selling entrepreneur on the planet right now. What shift would you give them?
Go back to the old school ways. That's what I would tell them all, because like I said, the biggest thing that I see is just a lot of high paid salespeople, but a lot of lack of leadership and development of other individuals. So I think that's the biggest issue.
I love it. And you've definitely given us a lot in our conversation on that topic. Anthony, this has been amazing. I want to just leave room for anything we haven't covered. I mean, we've covered a lot in a short amount of time. So thank you for all of that. I know anybody listening to this, regardless of where you are in your journey, just getting started, growing a team at the leadership level, reinventing yourself, go back and listen and re-listen because we covered so much ground on how to show up, how to lead by example, how to be consistent, systems that you can use for attraction, recruiting, events on how to bring people together, how we balance this online, offline, this attraction with connection world, what's working today, and so many mindset shifts that allow you to operate at your potential. So Anthony, anything else on your mind or your heart you want to leave us with before we round out?
No, I just want to say it's an incredible profession, but you have to commit to what you want. And it's like anything else in life. This business can do things that I truly didn't think was possible, right? If you would have told me from when I started to where I'm at today, you would have done all these things that you've been able to do, I would have said, no way, right? Not in a million years. I think the biggest thing for the new person is going out there and getting little wins. Little wins are everything. Get that first, enrollment, bring that first customer on board, get to that first rank. Little wins over time will lead to big wins. And I think that's the most important thing I could tell you right now. You're thinking about, the 6-figure income or doing this or doing that. And some of you are already completely doubted yourself from all that aspect, which is perfectly fine and it's perfectly normal, right? But the reality is don't think so big. Let's just get that first sign up. Let's get to the first rank. Let's take this thing step by step. And those little achievements will make you start thinking a lot bigger. Because I could tell you, when I got involved at 500 to 1,000 a month, that if you would have told me I could do that, I would have been like, oh, I'm happy with that. But once I got to those levels, I was like, oh, okay, I could double this. And then I did that and I'm like, I could double this and I could double that, right? It opens up your eyes to a much bigger picture. So like I said right now, it's okay if you don't see yourself doing anything massive. Let's just go accomplish some little goals. And I can tell you, your vision will shift over time.
Anthony, Anthony, thank you so much for the time today. Thank you for taking time away from your team and your life in the midst of crazy travel and a hectic time of the year. congratulations on everything you have done in what really is a short amount of time before your 30th birthday. I'm sitting here looking at the wisdom, looking at the experience, looking at the results, and my mind goes to, I can't wait to have a conversation on the cusp of your 40th birthday, a decade from now, to hear where all of this builds and where all of this goes. So thank you for sharing all of that with us today. And for everybody that's joining us, I know you got something today that's going to move your business and your life forward. Take the nuggets, put them into action, create your story. Now is the time. And the only reason that we're here today is to elevate the value across our channel. And the way you can help us do that is not only applying what you got to the people you're in touch with every day, but also sharing this conversation with other direct selling entrepreneurs that you know are alongside you on this journey. You guys know where to find us. You can get access to every platform at shiftpodcast.com. Find us in all the places. If you want to see Anthony and feel his energy and intensity, make your way over to YouTube. You can find the video there. And until the next time, everybody, let's go out there and raise the vibration across his channel and make an impact. I agree with everything Anthony said today. Now is the time. People are looking, and it's time for us to go give people the solution to elevate their lives at a time they need it. Thank you, Anthony, so much for the time today. And for everybody out there, we'll see you next week. Until then, let's make the shift.